Hey everybody! So I feel I must first an apology make. I said in the last video that I would do a review every Friday, and we see one weekend that has already failed massively, so I'm sorry about that. I was just about ready to make the video on Friday, but technology issues, my camera ran out of battery and then my light conked out and I couldn't get it all back together. Whatever, I'm here now. I'm doing a review of The Light Fantastic, which is the second in the Discworld series and the immediate sequel to The Colour of Magic. I feel that first, though, I should talk about what is the Discworld, because I didn't do that in the last video. Put it simply, the Discworld is a world on a disc instead of on a globe, like we live in the real world. The disc is on the back of 4 elephants, and the elephants are on the back of a giant world turtle. The idea for it comes from various mythologies around the world. I don't know if it comes directly from one, but the idea that the world is flat, and that, well, if it's flat it must be supported by something. How about, like, elephants, and what are they supported by? I don't know, like a turtle swimming through the ocean of space. And a thing that Terry Pratchett does a lot in the series is he takes mythologies or crazy ideas that people have actually had in the real world that are either mythological or metaphorical or whatever, and makes them literally real. So we'll see that theme come up quite a lot throughout the series, but I'll leave it for now. That's the thing, that's what he does with the world. So in a world like this, obviously it's permeated with magic, because it's so improbable, and everything impossible must be possible on this world. So the story of The Light Fantastic. Remember the spell that got stuck in Rincewind's head that I mentioned in the last video? It's the reason he can't do any magic is because one of the great spells that make up the universe got stuck inside his head and he can't get it out. So that's the only spell he knows, but no other spells will dare to share the same space with that spell. So in The Light Fantastic, that spell becomes one of the characters, really, and it's the main theme of the book is that spell and what to do with it. So the book starts in the Unseen University, the primary academy of magic on the Discworld, where there's something up with the Octavo. The Octavo, the book in which the 8 great spells live, casts a spell across the entire Discworld, but nobody knows what's actually happened. Until the next morning, when they say a new star in the sky, a red star on the horizon, and every night it gets bigger. And obviously the entire disc is terrified of this. Another thing that the spell changed was that Rincewind and Twoflower are no longer falling off the edge of the disc, which is where we left them at the end of the last book. They find themselves in a forest full of talking trees. The bulk of the plot revolves around the wizards trying to catch Rincewind and Twoflower because they want that 8th spell that's in Rincewind's head. Because they believe that with the impending doom that the red star heralds, the only way to save the universe is to recite the 8 spells together. I must say this is not my favourite book of the Discworlds. In fact, it's one of my least favourites, I must admit. Because not much really happens in the story. We meet lots of new characters, we meet lots of really good, interesting characters, and some really cool ideas and cool concepts that Terry Pratchett must have thought up and thought, I need to put that in my new Discworld series, and just put it in the book because he felt like it. But it doesn't really. A lot of these cool concepts, cool though they are, don't really add to the plot. We meet Cohen the Barbarian, who is an octogenarian hero about whom many stories and songs and legends have been told, but now he's a bit past it, but can't really get out of the habit of going into palaces and killing all the priests and saving the girl and stealing all the gold. We meet Bethan, who is a young virgin who was about to be sacrificed to the moon goddess by the druids, but was saved by Cohen. We meet Trimon, who is an evil wizard, sort of, but his evil is a very interesting kind of evil because it's the grey evil of bureaucracy and filing cabinets, which is very evil indeed. We meet Golda Weatherwax, who is at the beginning of the story the Arch-Chancellor of Unseen University. Not much is made of the fact that he's called Weatherwax. We don't see him in any books after this, but there is a Weatherwax who we meet in many books after this. In fact, the next one, and we never find out anywhere in the series if they're related or not. Who knows? We meet druids, who are, I think, really cool in the Discworld. The druids of the Discworld are basically computer geeks. They are technicians of the stone circles, which are enormous computers figuring out when the sun will rise, the movement of the planets, the movement of the seasons, etc, etc. And the druids are basically just the software technicians, rearranging the stones, performing certain ceremonies with moons and sacrificing virgins, just to make it work properly. We sometimes go with Rincewind inside the Octavo. Sometimes the spell in his head just takes over and it needs to talk with him, and it needs the other spells to talk with him, so it brings Rincewind's consciousness inside the book, where they give him many complicated orders with what he must do. I like the way, especially in this book and also throughout the series, that Terry Pratchett makes these very serious sounding characters, like for example Death and great powerful wizards and the Arch-Chancellor of Unseen University and the great spells that make up the universe, humorously mundane and realistic. Like they bicker with each other. The spells can't agree on the exact way the universe started, and they want to feel important, and they want people to know that they're important. They have that kind of a pride that humans have, and he doesn't, and Pratchett doesn't. His character's very realistic. We briefly meet Death's friends, War, Pestilence and Famine, in a scene in which they accidentally go to Death's domain, and Twoflower teaches them how to play bridge. It's a 4-player game, it's ideal for Death, War, Pestilence and Famine. And again we see these anthropomorphic paradigms of human consciousness. Death, War, Pestilence and Famine, arguing over the technical details of how to play bridge. And you cheated, no I didn't, well you don't understand the rules, etc. A character that we very briefly meet is Isabel, Death's adopted daughter. And I can't remember if she comes up again. The same idea comes up later, a couple of books later in Mort, which I haven't started reading yet. But I can't remember if it's Isabel, because there's also Susan. We'll get to that. As I said, I don't think this is really the best Discworld book. It's a bit of a simplistic plot. It's bulked up by lots of really cool ideas and characters. And I think it does redeem itself at the end, when we eventually do find out what the Red Star is and what's its purpose. Not going to tell you that, obviously, but it's not what we think it is throughout the book. which is a nice twist. We say goodbye to Twoflower at the end. He doesn't come up, I don't think, again in the whole series, which I think is a shame. Also, Bethan doesn't come up ever again, as far as I know. I think that's also a shame, because they're good characters, and I think it would have done well to meet them again later in the series. So I think this book did well to carry on and finish the story of Rincewind and Twoflower. The Colour of Magic did need a sequel, and this did provide it quite well. We learnt more about the Discworld. I wouldn't say it was disappointing, but just having read the other books, I suppose, is not quite as good as the others, I think. It's still a very good book though. I would say join me next week, but I think I'm going to try and make a review of Equal Rites a bit sooner than next week to make up for my delay in making this video. I'll be reviewing Equal Rites as soon as I can, as soon as I finish it, in which we meet Granny Weatherwax and the first female wizard, and we learn all about the Unseen University and the way wizards work. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, comment, in that order or not, I don't really care. See you soon. Bye.